This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome to a cloudy sunset safari. It is quite chilly this afternoon. My name is Byron and on camera with me is David. And then we've got Steph and Genre and Herbert on bushwalk this afternoon. And James and Craig is back with us. They're going to be on the other vehicle. James is just fixing a flat tire. So unfortunate for him. But it's a wonderful afternoon. We had a really exciting morning and hopefully our luck continues. We've got Louise in final control and don't forget to send her your questions. Hashtag SafariLive via Twitter is how you do it, or comment on the little box below the YouTube video and then we will hopefully answer all your questions. Now I am in search for lions this afternoon. Now, in the area we left them this morning, we found a pride of lions. We weren't too sure who they are, but I think it was possibly the Talamati pride. I think we've come to a conclusion. It was the Talamati pride. We saw 7 lions altogether. There were 5 females and 2 young males. So hopefully they are still around. I'm going to try my best to find them. It has been a cool afternoon, so chances are they could have moved around a little bit. So I'm going to search through this drainage line and have a look for them. So while we do that, let's go across to our bushwalk team, find out what their plan is this afternoon.
Hello and welcome to the bushwalk. I'm Steph and Genre is on camera today and we are giving Byron a hand looking for these lions. In fact, we are in the drainage line that he is busy exploring right now, and we are gingerly just walking forward a pace at a time just to make sure that we don't A, get a fright ourselves, and B, chase these lions completely away. So when you're looking for lions, personally I like to talk as loud as I can, because then they get up and they're at least not sleeping when you give them a surprise. So it's always a good idea to look onto the sand like I was. They like lying on the sand through the day. It tends to be quite a lot of shade inside these drainage lines, and the sand is nice and comfortable to sleep on. And so what you want to try and do is, I normally walk and talk a little bit. I don't make a big noise, but I walk and talk like I am at the moment. That way, from about 50 yards or so, lions will lift their head and look at you. May give you a bit of a growl. Some of them might stand up. There's a Nyala and Impala there. The lions are obviously not close to where we are now, although they look pretty nervous. That's an unusual behavior of Nyala. Right, we're going to carry on stalking through here, looking for those lions.
Good afternoon and welcome to this end of the Sunset Safari. My name is James Hendry. Yes, it is. Most of you know that, of course. On camera today we have returned from leave the great Craig Batman Zamat. Good to have you back, Craig. As you can hear, he's as vociferous as ever, screaming, wailing and shouting with joy to be returned to the bosom of his Juma and Wild Earth family. I'm sure, as the others have told you, please talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Otherwise, the chat stream on YouTube, questions, comments, jokes and insults, all equally welcome, depending on the content that we happen to be looking at the time. I am heading towards a reported duiker. He's sitting in a tree. Now, as we all know, duiker are not known for their tree climbing abilities, and so it is quite likely that the duiker had quite a lot of help getting up into the tree, and it is also quite likely that that help was provided by a leopard. So we're going to go along there and see if we can find the duiker in the tree and the helper that put him in that tree. Shouldn't be too far from here, about 5 or 10 minutes, I suppose. Baron is on fire today.
Well, we've been fortunate, James. We've been lucky, and have a look at this. We found this pride of lions again. They have not moved from this morning. They've decided to rest here. Now, the exciting thing is that we did watch them for a while trying to hunt. And I think these lions are possibly going to get active a lot earlier this afternoon in this cooler weather. So maybe, just maybe, we are fortunate and get to see a hunt this afternoon. I'm going to spend the afternoon with them. I think that's going to be our plan. We haven't seen lions for quite a few days, so it's wonderful to have this pride come through. And look at that, all huddled together, nice and warm. Some beautiful lions in this pride. There we go, yawning, stretching, all good signs. But look at that beautiful female to the left there. That's a young male that's just yawning there now. You can actually see the tufts of hair and the mane starting. This is a perfect photographic opportunity, just because all the heads are kind of in the same position. They're all facing us. It would really make a lovely photograph. You can also, if you are a photographer, you could play with the f-stop a little bit, which basically is the depth of field. You can photograph that lioness that just yawned on the left, and the rest would be slightly out of focus and slightly blurred. It gives a beautiful effect to a photograph. Or you could try to get them all in focus. Isn't that lovely? Focus Lotus, you say a family photo moment. Yes, indeed. I do think so. Perfect lion pride picture. A few youngsters, the females. But you see all that yawning, that's all signs that they potentially could start getting active. One of the lionesses is up, she's moving. It could also just mean that they're changing position there. She's just laid down there now. So let's have a look. Not to say because they're getting up and stretching and yawning that they're going to get up and move straight away. They could just change positions, move down a little bit. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. This is beautiful. They do look hungry. I must be honest, those bellies do not look full at all. White Lady Erwin, young male lions don't necessarily always get kicked out of a pride. There is a good chance that that these two young males may just stay in the pride. I wonder what this one has spotted something. Looked like behind us. Not sure what it sees. So I'm just having a look. White Lady Erwin, so as I was saying, it doesn't necessarily mean because they're young males they will definitely get kicked out. I've seen young males grow up within the pride and stay within the pride. I mean, ideally, basically for the gene pool, it's important that they do move on and meet up with females from other prides. Usually what happens is older, bigger, dominant males will come in and potentially chase these males out of the pride. That is when the males feel that there's potential threat and they want to mate with these females. So for example, if that new coalition of males, the Avoca males, came into this area, they could potentially chase these young males away and try and mate with the females. But I don't know the dynamics between this pride and the Avoca males. I'm not sure if they are related, if perhaps those males know this pride. You know, all of that needs to be taken into consideration. We don't always know what's happened in the past with these lions. I mean, if the Nkahuma pride came through, I don't know if the Nkahuma pride has met up with this pride before. sorry, not the Nkuma, the Birmingham males. See, I'm getting my prides confused. The Birmingham males, if the Birmingham males came and met up with this pride, they could potentially chase those younger males out and try and mate with the females. That's normally what happens, and that will, at the age of about from between 3 and 5 years old, you occasionally see young males get pushed out of a pride by other dominant males. It's not to say that the lionesses push them out. Isn't that beautiful? Really, really lovely. It's about 19 degrees Celsius, or about 67 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's quite chilly. It feels a little bit cooler than that, I must be honest. But perfect for us to view lions out in the open, not lying in a dense thicket in the shade. I'm going to sit with these lions for the afternoon, I think. But let's go find out how Steph's doing on his walk and what are his plans.
Well, obviously, Byron found those lions and we didn't need to insert ourselves into esophagus to do so, which was a good thing. So what we've done is we've made a big circle around where Byron is, and we are now checking game paths to see if Tandi's tracks are anywhere in the area. So Tandi's cub, Salamba, was found in that direction there, probably about 200 yards or so from here. And I think that Tandi is going to be making her way back to him through the course of today. Now, we don't really want to go walk a mother leopard and her cub, so we're not going to do that. We just want to get an idea on whether or not she's actually in the area or not. Whether we see these animals or we don't on safari in any particular day is as a result of us keeping an idea of where they move throughout the safari. So if we lose her for a day or a game drive, is not too bad. When you start losing them for a week or more, then you don't know where they've gone. Then they could pop up here, they pop up there, they pop up anywhere. But very difficult to try and predict where they're going to be. But a couple of walks ago, I talked about that plugged-in feeling. And the fact that once you've been doing this for a period of time, for me it's a couple of days up to a week or so, but once you've been here for 6, 7, 8 weeks, you start to get almost predictive where you can predict where these animals are going to be. And it's because you're keeping tabs on where they are on a day-to-day basis. So that's what we're going to do. We're just checking the area, making sure that she has moved where we thought she was going to move back to her cub, and then we'll make a loop around and we'll carry on with our day. And hopefully we can either send a vehicle in, she comes out of the block, we see her from the drone, plenty of things. Now we have got Herbie whistling at us from a thicket just here. Now Herbie whistling at us usually means that something is there. So we're going to see what he's up to and what he's managed to find in there. Meantime, you're off to Byron.
Now, I wonder what Herbie has found. Hopefully he's found something. And James is still searching for his tree-climbing diker. That is quite funny. Only James can think of that. Have a look at this lioness chewing on a few. It looked almost like it was chewing on a leaf there. Now, some of you might be thinking, why? Well, we spoke about this yesterday. I think we had a question about cats or big cats or predators feeding on vegetation, and they do from time to time, maybe the odd leaf or grass, and that's often to help with digestion, and occasionally cause them to regurgitate fur balls or anything like that. So it does happen from time to time, but not regularly, and definitely not for food. There's no vegetarian lions out here. Oh, there's another yawn. I wonder if this lioness is going to probably going to move fairly soon. Now a question from Byron, a viewer. Byron, wonderful. Hi, Byron. This is Byron. So Byron, your question is, how often do lions hunt? Well, To be honest, it all depends. It depends on the size of the kill. And we've mentioned this before, you know, if lions were fortunate enough to bring down a big buffalo, this pride of lions would probably feed on a buffalo for 2 or 3 days before they move on. Then they'd probably only have to hunt 2 or 3 days later. So generally, I mean, if it's a small impala, for example, they'd have to hunt a lot sooner. But I would say at least 2 or 3 times a week, lions would have to hunt. But again, it does depend on the size of their prey. And the rest of the pride is just lying down there at the moment. Just as I mentioned, they've just changed positions. They're resting down there. Oh, the lioness has just stood up. Sorry, Dave. There we go. So, but this is a wonderful start to the afternoon, I think. Amazing. A great day. And it's actually, you know what, one of my friends is watching and it's his birthday. So a great day to have a birthday. Torsten, happy birthday. There's some lions for you. He loves the bush and regularly goes up to, well, lives in Zambia. So he gets some amazing game viewing up there. But he still watches SafariLive because we've probably got the best, obviously. This one's not interested in joining the rest of the pride. It seems very happy. I'm very happy lying up there by herself, but you know, she seems to be quite interested in us. I don't know. Perhaps she's gazing into the eyes of Dave behind me. Hey, Dave? Maybe. All right, wow. Now, this is always exciting. I love this about a bushwalk. Steph has a surprise for you.
So, the whistle that Herbie gave us was to bring our attention to the fact that there was a young bull elephant right next to us. We couldn't see him because of the thick bush. What we immediately did was we moved into a downwind position, and the reason why we did that was because our scent was blowing straight onto him, so he was fully aware of us being here. We now, the wind is blowing diagonally between the two of us, sort of this way, and that means that we're not blowing our scent right onto him. We're on an elevated position, but we are sandwiched between where the elephant is and where Byron's lions are. We're right between it, and it's only about 100 yards or so difference. So just got a safari car coming past us, completely oblivious to the fact that we've got one of nature's most dangerous animals to approach on foot. It's crazy. So right here is the safest place for us. We're in a good place from a wind direction point of view, and if needs be, if that elephant had to approach us any closer than this, we'll stand here. If he had to move into a position where our scent blows onto him again, we'll cross this drainage line and we'll go to that termite mound there that you can see in the distance there. That would be our next bet, and if he comes straight at us, we'll stay right here. We're in an elevated position where we are now, and so 100% safe. But I doubt that this elephant's going to give us any trouble. Oh, there's a big bull there. Look at that, 2. That is awesome. So that's a youngster plus an old escort. Julie J, you've asked a nice question today. Are there any plants that animals would eat to deworm themselves? Julie J, I don't actually know of any plant that acts as a parasite remover. In my mind, I have exactly the page in my reference book that has this particular plant in it, but for the life of me, I cannot remember what it is. So based on the fact that I know where to find the answer to your question, I'm going to say yes. There are some plants that will act as a natural deworming agent for animals. Whether they'll eat it because they know they've got a parasite or whether they just eat it anyway, I think is debatable. I think unlikely that they will choose to eat something because they've got parasitic worms. Except that you don't really know. With elephants, it's always a weird thing. They constantly surprise me at how clever they are and how in touch they are with... let me not use that phrase. They constantly surprise me at how clever they are and how they are able to self-medicate. A story that I have in my memory is of an elephant bull that was tusked by another one. He was tusked in his neck. And to stem the bleeding, he'd constantly pick up trunkfuls of sand and blow the sand into the wound on his neck. And then he'd scrape himself through tamboti thickets. Now, what I think he was doing is he was scraping the juice of the tamboti tree, the sap, onto the wound, and that was helping to keep flies and maggots at bay. So not only was he able to staunch the bleeding using sand, but he was able to help, if that's what he was doing, keeping, biting flies and maggots out of the wound. So, you can say, that was just coincidence or whatever, but I don't know, to me it looked a little bit deliberate. Okay, I'd actually like to stay with these elephants for a little bit, and in the area we are in now, we're right next to a prominent game path. We're also between these elephants and Vuyatela Dam, and we're in a bad place from a wind point of view. So what I want to do is move to that big tree there, and I want to do it before these elephants get to us, and that way we'll be able to stay downwind of them, out of sight. What's your area? Out of sight, and we'd be able to stick with them for far longer. What's your area? For far longer than we would otherwise. So while we move into a better place and see what these elephants are going to get up to for the afternoon, why don't we go and see what James is up to?
I seem to have found the world's only climbing duiker. I think it has removed itself from the tree. Good afternoon. No. Yeah, I'll go there with him. Okay, thanks. And Rexon found it. There's Rexon in front of us. You see there's a drag mark across the road. So he's moved it. I'm just going to stop here because we'll lose signal. You can see Rex going into Buffelshoek, which is the property to the north of us. Rex, confirm there's a drag mark across the road there? Yeah. So he's taken it across the road there. That's what I thought, unfortunately. Alrighty, I don't think we're going to see this leopard. We can try just up the hill here. Lou, if you lose signal, don't worry, it'll come back pretty quickly. So at least Craig and I weren't going blind. We both spotted the leopard and the duiker in separate trees earlier. They weren't the duiker or the leopard. Lou, won't you ask Byron please to get onto the radio and tell Aubrey where the sighting is? He's trying to get hold of him. So there is the sighting. Oh, there's the drag mark. Well, we can't see the drag mark, obviously. Yeah. So I'm afraid we're not going to have any luck because that is in a reserve where we cannot go. We'll have a quick look in there. Much wailing and gnashing of teeth. So let's go back to Stefan, who can find animals.
Such bad luck having that kill dragged across the road into Buffelshoek, but I'm sure James will hang around there, but maybe you lucky, hold some thumbs. So we've got these two ellies, we're in a better place where we are now. Slightly more hidden, but us crunching through the grass here has actually made them aware that something is here. So we're just going to stick around where we are. We're not going to make any more movement. We're not going to crunch through any more leaves. We're just going to let the whole bush just calm down again. And if we're lucky, we'll be able to spend some decent time with these giants on foot. And just have a look at that. That swagger of a big bull elephant is just something amazing. Now, young elephant, like the one we first saw, join older elephant to learn from them. Personally, I don't think that this elephant we're looking at now, the older of the two, is ancient. I think he's probably in the region of about 35 to 40 years old. The reason why he's tolerating the youngster is probably because he isn't in their must situation. I think he's going to show us what happens to the food that they eat. Just have another vehicle passing us by. We're standing quite close to a road here where we are, and so there's a lot of traffic coming down. I'm very glad we moved, actually, because these elephants are moving straight to where we were. And Gina, you would like to know how big bull elephants are compared to females. They are about double the size, Gina. So whereas a big bull elephant will top the scales at around about 6,000 kilograms, about 6 ton, female elephant will top the scales at about 3.5 ton. So about double. And when you see them next to one another, the size difference is actually incredible. This wind is playing havoc with us today. I think this elephant can actually hear us, okay? So I'm just shaking a bit of ash in a sock. The wind is still blowing directly from them to us, which is exactly the way we want it. But you can see the ears up above the level of the shoulders. That quiet pose that they have, that is an elephant that's aware of what's going on. So while I don't think that they pose us any risk right now, we do just want to make sure that we constantly are aware of the wind direction and that we have an elevated position. Now you can see this bull elephant starting to look for us. So bull elephant can get quite inquisitive about disturbances that they have in the bush, and they will quite often come and have a look. They don't like to be disturbed. They don't like not knowing what's going on. And it's not unfeasible and impossible to have elephants escort us out of this particular place. I'm hoping that that doesn't happen. I'm hoping that they just carry on with their day. And we get to view him. Those ears open, that's him listening for us. So why I'm keeping quiet now is I don't want to antagonize this poor elephant at all. I want him just to calm down and carry on doing what he was doing. And I want him to not really identify who or what we are. I actually want to take back the estimation that I have on his age. If you have a look at the temples, his temples, so above his eyes you can see that his skull has got indentations on his skin, has started to sag and his muscles have lost the tone. That is an indication of a mature bull elephant. Both elephants. The youngster has now moved off down the drainage line a little bit. He's still making 100% sure that nothing here is going to be a danger for him. We're standing about 40 yards from where he is at the moment. Elephants can run at 45 kilometers an hour. And so he'd cover that distance between where he is and us in a blink of an eye. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep quiet now for a while and let him just after you visit Byron.
Well, I'm jealous that Steph is viewing elephant on foot, but we've got this wonderful pride of lions. Again, some more stretching. We thought they'd get up, but then they just lay down, just like that lion has done. So possibly just, enjoying the cool weather. Oh, look at that. Just excuse me a second. Go ahead, Nigel. Negative. We down. We further east. So if you come down Central Road from Vuyatela Dam, that first junction that you get that heads north to Buffelshoek. If you turn south there, you'll see a little 2-track that comes down to the drainage line. We're just down there. Nigel, south of that, so towards the other drainage line, if you get to that junction, turn right. You'll see there's a little dry water hole or mud wallow. You come down there. You won't get my visual until you come down into this drainage line. Sorry, everybody, just trying to get some people into the sighting. There we go. I think James is also trying to help now. Let's see if he can assist. So look at that. That's interesting. Look at that scar on that lion's face. That young male's. Now, I don't know what that is from. Most likely another lion. Maybe a fight or a bite. Possibly one of the lionesses or the other young male in this pride. Maybe when they're feeding. I know lions can get very aggressive with one another. But I'm sure that will heal up quite quickly. Now, I wonder. So, I know a lot of you are wondering what pride this is. Now, we were uncertain this morning. When we first saw them, we caught a glimpse of lions. We counted quite a number of them, and we thought this is potentially the Nkuhuma pride, but it's not. This looks like it is possibly the Talamati pride. That is what I think. Now, I'm just going to keep my voice quiet or low for a minute, because this lion has spotted something. Have a look. All of them are alert now. I'm trying to see if there's anything behind us. But I can't. I did hear an oxpecker. It's amazing how good their eyesight is, and they're incredibly alert. So I'm just trying to have a look around, but I don't see anything. Well, not yet, anyway. But as I said, you can see this pride is definitely very interested in hunting. They do look hungry, and this is perfect weather for them to hunt in. It's windy, which makes it noisy. It's difficult for the prey species to pick up on the lions, so this is perfect conditions for them. It also makes it difficult for them to smell the lions because the wind is blowing the scent everywhere. Tom, have I ever seen a mature male lion without a mane? I'm trying to think, Tom. No, I haven't. However, there are parts of Africa where there have been documented cases of male lions without manes, or very, very small manes. That's possibly got to do with genetics and temperature, general temperature, heat. Maybe it's too hot and they haven't developed manes. So again, almost a natural a natural cause of them not not developing big manes because of temperature. Natural adaptation, perhaps. That's what I think, Tom. But and that was up in East Africa, in Tsavo. Some of you may have remember, or you can possibly Google the lions of Tsavo, the man-eating lions of Tsavo. Now, this was many years ago, about 100 years ago, if not more. I think late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. The English went and tried to build a bridge in Tsavo, and there were lions that hunted and caught a number of people in that area, and they did not have manes. They were big male lions, but they didn't have big male manes. So it can happen, but I think that depends on the area. But I've never seen it. And down here, Southern Africa, and all the places I've been to, all the male lions have got manes. It's very peaceful and actually sitting watching these lions. It's nice to just keep quiet at times and listen to the birds. There was a grey go-away bird calling. And you'd be surprised at what else you hear calling around or nearby. You may pick up on alarm calls of animals. Maybe there's a leopard walking around that impala or something sees. That's one thing I always stick to, is that even though these lions are resting, they are not lazy. They are not as some people refer to them as flat cats. And you know, that makes my skin crawl. I don't like it at all, and I never use that term, because they're still alert. And if anything, I've been sitting with lions like this, and an impala's come running through by accident, and they were up in a flash and killed the impala in front of us. So don't let this behavior fool you. They are still completely aware of what's going on around them. Now, even while you're sitting with these lions, there's still a lot going on around you. There are still birds calling. Some animals may move in and move past, like elephant, or you never know. Something could happen. Anton, the lionesses can have between 1 and 4 cubs in a litter, and that's the average, between 1 and 4. I'm going to get a beautiful yawn. Now, Anton, it all depends. Occasionally a lioness may only give birth to 2 or 3, or possibly all 4, and maybe only 1 survives. But a litter size can be anywhere between 1 and 4 cubs. They're very social. Look at that. Oh, that is wonderful. That is really lovely. Well, I'm going to see if I can help some of the other vehicles get into this sighting. While I do that, let's head back to James. Find out if he's had any luck yet with that potential leopard in the area he was in.
No luck at all, I'm afraid, everybody. What we've done is we've come down towards the drainage system that flows out of Buffelshoek waterhole, and that is over here. But there is nothing here. Everything, well, with any self-respect anyway, is hiding in the thick bushes. That's what I'd be doing if I lived out here. So we're going to head up towards Buffelshoek Dam. Louise, I'm not sure about the signal on Rusty through here. Let's just see. Whoops, another bump that I missed. All right, let us push our luck here, as Louise says. Steph will be on standby. Still looking good in the green. I just want to show you. This is one of my very, very favourite trees on the reserve. There's something about it and the green lawn that grows underneath it that I really find deeply attractive. It's not green at the moment, of course, and it is a jackalberry or Diospirus mespiloformes tree. Certainly one of the most magnificent trees that we have here. Right, our next port of call is going to be Buffelshoek Waterhole. Maybe there'll be a kitty there. And yes, as Louise says, it would be entirely more magnificent if there was a leopard in it. I agree. We might have episode 4 of Scuba Steve and Sarah today. We'll see what's going on. We'll see how I feel. While Steph and Byron find real animals. Should be okay now, the signal. Sorry about that little dip there. Might make it up here. Stay with me. Stay with me. It's the first time I've ever been through that area without losing signal. Let's just hope I haven't spoken too soon. Ah, there we are. Let us do the small bird, Craig. Do you see it? Yes, it is a starling. The greater blue-eared glossy starling. The hind end thereof. Yes. And now it is gone, is it? Oh well, it was nice to see a greater blue-eared glossy starling on the way to Buffelshoek Dam. Oh, there he is again. Craig, our luck is overwhelming. It's almost as great as the luck we had when we found the honey badger this morning. Did you hear about that sighting, Craig? Yes, it was very special. We spent 45 minutes chasing a honey badger. That is not a greater blue-eared glossy starling, I don't think. I think it is a Cape. No, it is a greater blue-eared glossy starling. Very difficult in this light to separate the greater blue-eared glossy starling from the Cape glossy starling, both of which are almost identical in colour in light like this. In the bright light, you will be able to see the very obvious large blue ear feathers, not large feathers, but patch of blue behind the eye, which is absent on the Cape glossy starling and present on the greater blue-eared glossy starling. Easiest way to tell them apart is by their calls. There he is. Tony, we have 2 kinds of mice birds here, the speckled and the red-faced. And we have probably 5 kinds of sunbird. They are as follows: the Morocco sunbird, the collared sunbird, the white-bellied sunbird, the scarlet-chested sunbird from time to time, and I think we could probably find from time to time an amethyst sunbird here. All beautifully coloured, all very different from each other, gorgeous birds, even more gorgeous than these starlings we're looking at. So a greater blue-eared glossy starling goes like this: piddle-loop, 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 whereas a greater blue-eared glossy starling says meow, meow, meow. So, you'll never make the mistake again. Then, Craigus, we have got, on the road ahead, this scruffy little crested barbet. Marvellous. Crested barbet is going to move. We are going to Buffelshoek Dam.
We pulled away from the orbit of that particular elephant, and The reason being is that we needed to get ourselves into a better position for when he left the thick bush. We were a little bit close there to move if he came any closer to us without disturbing him. So now he's completely unaware of where we are, where we've gone, and anything like that. And we are now able to better predict our movements based on his. So he's just standing in the road there, I think. Come and see if we can give you a view of him quickly. There he is. So he's going to come into the open there now. And what we're going to do is stay a good 100 yards or so away from him. And we're going to see if we can keep on his good side. In other words, out of hearing, out of smell. And just see if we can spend the afternoon with this big male elephant. It is something totally special, totally absorbing to spend time on foot with these giants. It's a humbling experience. It's exciting, it's dangerous. You got to know what you're doing. And all in all, what we try our most to do is not affect these animals whatsoever. So the goal of mine and the goal for us over here would be to view this animal in close proximity without him knowing we were there. And that is 100% what we're trying to do here, is to try and explain this experience, this feeling that we have, while we're close to this magnificent animal, but without him being aware of what we are. And that takes some doing. So we're going to try. He's now, why I'm looking all of a sudden is, you never know where these things go. Paula, you'd like to know if elephant ever come into our camp? Absolutely. We've had an elephant push a tree down in our access where we go into our bedrooms. An elephant came and stood there and pushed a tree down. We've had elephants pulling branches down in our camp. So an elephant in camp is a regular occurrence, particularly in the dry season like it is now. And the reason for that is that the trees inside a camp are always well watered and they're always well protected, because other younger or herds of elephant don't come into camps. They're too nervous of camps. So a big bull elephant like this has got nothing to fear from nobody, will quite often walk into camp and not become a pest. We are guests in their world, but they can pull branches down onto houses. They can scare staff and make you run around. It can be quite nerve-wracking, and you have to sort of escort these big guys out of camp. I've pretty much tried every single bush, remedy to get elephants out of a camp, and for me, nothing better. It's much better to just leave them alone than do anything else. Right, we're going to see if we can get into a slightly better place to show you this elephant, because I can imagine that you've had enough looking at my bald head and the bush, and would actually like to see the elephant that we're talking about right now. So don't go anywhere. We'll just change position. In the meantime, enjoy Scuba Steve.
Those people are back again, Sarah.
I'll say that, Scuba. While I've been okay with having him around us over the last few days, I must say it's getting tiring. As you can see, I'm very tired. My eyes are closing. But I do like resting my weary head on the back of your back, Scuba. You're a big, strong fellow, you are.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm lucky. I grew up big and strong.
Well, you're very lucky, Scuba, because it's not like you've gained your muscle through a great deal of physical exercise, is it?
Well, no, not exactly. But some don't have to do physical exercise. They're genetically superior specimens. I think I qualify as a genetically superior specimen.
Oh, Scuba, you're a dreamboat. I'm feeling dreamy just being close to you.
I'm feeling quite dreamy as well, although that's pretty much how I feel all the time. I'm not sure that it's your presence.
How can you say that, Scuba? You're so insensitive. It's not surprising you've been alone for so long.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've never been very good at sensitivity. It's something I'm working on. I've got a book about it. It's called Sensitivity for Insensitive Hippopotami. I'm on page 20. There are 600 pages to go. So hopefully by the end of 600 pages I will be a more sensitive hippopotamus.
Oh, Scuba, I love that you're making an effort for me. It makes me so deeply happy.
And that, everybody, was episode 4 of the saga of Sarah and Steve. Unsurprisingly, in exactly the same position they were yesterday, the day before that, the day before that, and indeed the day before that. He, of course, has been here doing what he's doing now for some months. And dare we hope that in 8 months there will be 3. Louise says she can't wait for the episode where Snorkel Sarah leaves pillows, decorative pillows around Scuba's house. I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but certainly we'll talk about it. Alrighty, let's move it up from here. These two guys, really, I can't deal with them. I'm going to have to get increasingly imaginative about my scuba sagas. Hello, chaps. Oh, very funny. Okay, so we have failed to find any sign of leopard or lion or anything else over this side. Let's go down to Chitwa. In the meantime, Baron remains with the Talamati Pride.
Thanks, Nigel. Cheers. Sorry, we're live. Yep. Sorry about that, everyone. Just trying to help one of the other vehicles move through here. Now these lines are starting to move, which is fantastic. Moving further up the drainage line, but this is still good. There's potentially some animals moving through this thicket. So I think they're constantly going to watch and move around and look to see if they can find anything. There's one young male moving behind us at the moment. I'm not sure. You might get him shortly, Dave. There we go. That is the young male off to the left that you can see. But now I think this is the oldest of the two young males. This one looks like he's possibly between 2 or 3 years old. A little bit larger than the other one. And the other one looked a bit younger, possibly 1.5 years to 2 years old, I think. That, judging by their size, the mane, that's the ages I would put the two young males at. So between 1.5 years to 2 years old, and the other one possibly 2.5 years old, maybe 3 years old. And then the 5 lionesses. But also there are varying ages, it looks like, with the lionesses too. Some slightly younger ones. Moving all around us. If you have a look, you should see just to our or behind us, there goes the other male. That's the other male, but you can see he is a bit smaller and a bit younger than that first young male that moved past. I can still hear some oxpeckers flying around. I don't see anything. Possibly they may possibly just be nesting in the trees nearby or flying over, but I don't see any animals just yet. But these lions are definitely curious and searching very cautiously, carefully through the drainage line. They do look hungry, so maybe we have some luck today with the hunt. That would be wonderful. Now, summer, generally, males' manes will take about, I'd say that you really start seeing the manes develop at about 3 to 4 years. You'll start seeing the manes develop. I do apologize for the views at the moment. I can't really move. There is a line quite close behind us. It's a bit difficult to see. And just be a bit patient and we should get better views shortly. But about 3 to 4 years you really start seeing the mane develop. And even a bit, after that, from 5 years onwards, you really start seeing full manes. Although, when I say develop, I mean really seeing the full growth of hair forming. You can see already from a year and a half, you start seeing the little tufts of hair forming near the ears and on the throats of the young males. So you start seeing it developing then, but only really in full effect from about 3 years old and onwards. You start seeing long growths of hair, and then from about 5 to 6 years, you'll probably see a fuller mane. Sidhoff, sorry, I hope I'm saying that correctly. You asked which pride has generally been territorial in this area around Djuma over the years. Well, the one pride that most of our viewers have got to know is the Niconico pride. They have been around here for as far back as I can remember, and for SafariLive. But you do have prides moving in and out of the area. So there's the Niconico pride, which generally have been territorial in this area. The Styx pride, which is coming from the south. And then this pride, the Talamati pride, there has also been the Torchwood pride. So there are a number of prides that have moved around and through. A number of coalitions of males. And there we go, there's that other line that's just behind us. You're right there, Dave. It's a bit difficult. But probably the coalitions and the males that we know the best are the Birmingham males that we've seen around here a lot. But don't forget, because this is a wild environment, a natural system, you're always going to get new prides of lions, new males coming through, new coalitions. Things always change out here, which is something we always need to remember. You're going to have other prides coming in challenging for territory. You're going to have other males coming in. Alright, well, it sounds like Steph is having fun with his elephant on foot. Let's go and find out how he's doing.
We're still just waiting for this elephant to come out of the thickets. He's still just in the bushes. I can see his ears flapping. He's now about 200 yards or so away from us, and moving slowly towards Vuyatela Dam. You can see how open this area is where we are now, and where we're standing and why we are so far away is simply because we don't want to be within this elephant's orbit for now. And it is important for us to know when we can get close and when we need to be a little bit further away. In this particular instance, we need to be a bit further away from this elephant. You can see that if things had to go bad, there's nothing here that we can call remotely an elevated position. And so we've only got the wind in our favor, and because of that, we have to keep it in our favor. I see that elephant is now slowly moving. He looks like he's actually on the road, which will do us a favor. My prediction is that he's going to end up at Vuyatela Dam in the next couple of minutes, which is really where we want him to be. And as we get closer towards Vuyatela, there's actually some taller termite mounds there, which will afford us a little bit more safety. So for now, what we're going to keep on doing is just stay ahead of him, stay far away so that moving with the grass doesn't really bother him, that our noise and talking doesn't really bother him. We're going to see if there's an opportunity to get a little bit closer to him. We'll absolutely take it. Let's make our way through here. So this that you're seeing down, all these fallen sticks that you're seeing down is Rexon's efforts in controlling these monkey orange thickets that we have growing all over the place. This is that black monkey orange, the Strychnos madagascariensis, and it grows in these impenetrable thickets here, which make it really difficult to drive around and through. And while it is a naturalized plant, it's indigenous to here, it is sort of not out of control, but they are forming these thickets, which is unnatural. And so this is just Rexon doing a little bit of habitat management. The reason why he's needed to do that is quite simply because fires don't have the reach that they traditionally have had. And the reason for that is tar roads, people's properties all over the place. Natural fires from lightning strikes, say, or from any number of things, methane sparking in a compost heap, I don't know, whatever it is that starts a natural bushfire here, don't have the reach, and so they get to a tar road, they stop. And so where a bushfire used to burn for 3 or 4 days at a time, now it only burns for 3 or 4 hours before it's stopped by some man-made barrier. And so these, because there's no fire, plants like this start to proliferate and can form these thickets, and the only way you can really control it is either by fire or by mechanical means, and Rexon chose mechanical means for this particular effort. Now, still a bit of a mission to get through here, but not too bad. Here's the end of the thicket right here, and so that is done. Now I can't see that elephant, but I'm sure that he's moving still here. Now, thank you very much for the compliment. Louise passes on the messages that say that many of you would like to be on a bushwalk with me someday. I wish that as well. But in the interim, I think this is a pretty good compromise. I mean, imagine trying to explain to people a couple of years ago that from anywhere on the planet you'd be able to go on a bushwalk virtually in Africa and be as connected as what you are in this experience. Ask the guide questions, spend many hours out here, enjoy sightings. It's just something unheard of. I know it was for me when I first came out here and when I first had anything to do with wild earth, for sure. Right, James has got something very interesting to show you.
Wow, we've got 2 golden-breasted buntings. Now, we didn't stop here for golden-breasted buntings, we stopped here for dwarf mingooses. But the mingooses have disappeared, leaving in their wake the seeds that the golden-breasted buntings are now picking up. Oh, they're not very spectacular-looking birds. That's really pretty, everybody. I don't think we've ever had a good sighting like this of the golden-breasted bunting. Not certainly with me. And a blue waxbill. That's just flown away, blue waxbill. Lots of little finchy-like birds here. It must mean there are quite a few seeds. Very special. Now, while you're looking at these waxbills and golden-breasted buntings, what we are doing at the moment, we're going to head down towards Chitwa, but apparently Gijima the male leopard has been found inside Buffelshoek, and he's on his way down towards Buffelshoek Dam. So we're just staying in the region, because we might get lucky, which I feel we should, given what we set out to at the beginning of the drive. There's the male. You can see he's slightly better coloured, or slightly brighter. Go ahead. Okay, he's coming to the boundary now. Let's go. Alright, he's close by, guys. I'm on my way. Rexon is very kindly keeping us informed. Lou, I think head away from us. We're going to bump a bit. See. Alrighty, Byron is going to entertain you while we try and get a view of Gijima.
Well, I hope James has some luck this afternoon. It sounds like he may just have some luck. Now, that male leopard, I think, has been moving around during the course of the day, because we heard about tracks earlier, so maybe it's him. I'm not sure. Now, this pride of lions, just as I thought, are getting active. They're moving around. They're scanning very carefully through this drainage line. Nice thick area, perfect for them to potentially hunt. So we're going to try our best to follow them and stay with them, and hopefully our patience and persistence will pay off. But it is tricky to obviously get through these drainages. I don't think we'd get through there with the vehicle. Yeah, I want to see if we can possibly move around at some point, but you know what, we still got a view of them. We'll just wait here for now. Little sneeze from that lion. Joyce, you know what? I must be honest. I tried to read up a little bit about the Talamati Pride. I couldn't find anything substantial. I found a number of photographs and that of the Pride, ranging from a few years ago to now. I think they originally come from the north. I think the Manyaleti area, if I'm not mistaken. But if any of our viewers have a bit more information for us, please let me know. This is the first time I've seen them, so I don't know them very well. But I think they do originate from the Manyaleti, so which is north of us, north of the Sabi Sands. And I think they have spent a lot of time there. And now with the Nkuhuma Pride that has moved further south, I think these lions have decided to move in a little bit into this area. So that's what I think. Well, we've had a lot of luck. Again, I just think, wow, these days have been amazing. I'm sure those of you who watched our sunrise safari, we had a very, very young leopard just before the show started. I think it was Tlolamba, who we managed to find with a heat signature, with the drone, which was really, really great fun. We managed to find that young leopard in a thick block, and then we had the lions. James had that amazing honey badger sighting, and then again we've had this afternoon start with lions. Hopefully we'll have another leopard for you. Steph's been on foot with elephant. This is the perfect safari. Wonderful, wonderful day. Feline Friday. I know some of our viewers were mentioning that earlier. Definitely Feline Friday. But you can see they're very, very alert, still having a look. Now, just in front of those lions, through that tree line, there is actually a little road that runs down there, and then we get those clearings that are not too far from Vuyatela Dam. We're basically downstream from the dam at the moment. So we've seen many times the herds of impala, wildebeest, all those animals that like those clearings. So these lions could potentially be searching, looking through the thickets and trying to see if they can find something up there. Vivette, do lions' ears get bitten a lot by ticks? You do find ticks on their ears from time to time, but also a lot of the time those might be biting flies, especially with the older lions. You see the ears start looking a bit frayed, so fleas and little biting flies that get some of the hair off the ears. You do see that quite prominently in older lions and older leopards. But you will see a tick from time to time. But don't forget, these lions groom each other regularly, and they will get those ticks off one another when they are grooming. So ticks don't really cause that hair to fray, or the ears to fray, and to become bare on the tips. That's generally from other little insects. All right, now the one lioness is fixated basically upstream from where we are now. I'm going to try and reposition just to see if we can get a view of what they are looking at. They're looking in that direction, really focused on what is down there. So let's have a look and see. I'm hoping there's something there that we can get a view of. All right, I'm going to try and maneuver through here. While I do that, let's go find out how Steph's elephants are doing.
Slowly, these elephants are making their way towards us. But what's quite exciting is the fact that Byron and his lions are not more than 200 yards away from where we are now as well. We can actually hear Byron's car start and stop in the thickets just on the right-hand side of those elephants. So we're in two minds about where these elephants are going to go. We think they're going to come down and drink. They've been making their way through here for the entire afternoon. But we don't know that they're going to come here and drink. They might have drank somewhere else, and they might just be slowly feeding now. They only need to drink once a day, and so they may come and drink. But you know, it's anyone's guess at this particular moment. I'm still intrigued as to this young guy joining this big guy. Now, Tony, you've asked, we think that elephants miss their mud baths in winter? Tony, here in the Sabi Sand, they do have access to mud, actually. There's a lot of surface water here, not just in the Sand River and the Sabi River, which are both within an easy walking march for this elephant. But also, the numerous camps around all have pans, and inside these pumped pans a lot of mud is present, and you'll see elephant quite often splashing themselves with mud. Now let's see what this guy's going to do. If he does as we think he's going to do, he's going to cross below the dam wall, and that's going to allow us to climb onto the dam wall and have a look at him. But yeah, I mean, he could come down the road, he could come straight at us. What we'll do is we will call it as soon as he gets a little bit closer than he is now. So if he comes more than 10 steps closer than this, we'll start backing off. The wind is blowing strongly in our faces at the moment, and we've got a lot of decent cover here, so I don't think that we're in any danger of let me just cover my microphone here so that you can actually hear what's going on. I don't think we're in any danger now of him seeing or hearing us. The wind is completely blocking our noise, and even the nervous youngster, I think, won't even know we're here. That's the hope, at least, anyway. Isn't it just amazing that we can spend some time with these guys? Okay, so they're now coming down here. What I think we're going to do is let's back off to that termite mound while we still got the advantage of cover. So what we're going to do is get off here, go down to our next line of retreat. We're going to give these elephants every benefit of the doubt to pick any direction that they want without giving them or giving us away. And what's even better is those lions seem like they're coming out of the bush right now.
Well, it looks like they have a little bit. And enjoy that elephant sighting, Steph, but I have found what they have looked at now, or what they are looking at. So you can see there's one or two that have laid down, and they are a little bit better hidden. There were one or two others moving slowly forward, and creeping through the drainage. Now, I'm not sure if you can see from here. We might be able to get a view, but they've spotted an Inyala. Let's see there through there, Dave. That little, yeah, there we go. See that? There's that female Inyala. But now you can see she's completely focused in this direction. Now that is what these lions have seen. Now they're probably, to give you an idea, I would say 100 meters away from that Inyala. So that's quite a distance to cover through this drainage line. The other problem is because that Inyala is focused on here, I don't know, I can't see if there are others. I'm assuming there are other Inyala in that little section of drainage line. So we do know Inyala are extremely alert. And through here, they will pick up the movement of these lions very, very easily. So unless these lions manage to flank these Inyala and move around, it would be very, very difficult for them to stalk and hunt them down there. Also, in these windy conditions, you need to remember these animals are all very, very alert, very aware of what's going on around them, because they cannot rely on their sense of smell anymore, or even the hearing. So they will constantly check and scan very, very carefully. So they're even more alert than usual. Minamu, at what age will male lions and their brothers start to form coalitions? Well, it's usually if they get pushed out of a pride, Minamu, they will potentially start forming a coalition. So from 3 to 4 years old, you start seeing males sticking together, the younger males, and that, I suppose, is the beginning of the coalition. And then obviously the older they get, so from about 4 to 5 years old, those lions start becoming a bit more dominant, and then that coalition really solidifies. And what happens is then they will start patrolling areas and potentially starting to set up territory for themselves. That is normally what happens. I must admit, I'm really excited about this at the moment. This is what we've been building up all day too. We've saw these lions, saw them potentially trying to hunt. They rested. We thought they're going to rest for the day. They did. It's nice and cool this afternoon, so they've decided to start moving a lot earlier. And now, again, they are showing signs of potentially trying to hunt. So we just need to be patient now, just like these lions are being very patient. All right, now Steph is still having fun with those elephants. Let's go and find out. I'm jealous of him at the moment.
Yeah, we just as predicted, these ellies are going to the Vuyatela Dam for a drink, but instead of walking under the dam wall, they're walking on it. Isn't that amazing? So, because it's a pretty high profile sighting, we've got vehicles coming in from all sides now, which is quite nice. They're going to be able to enjoy a sighting from the vehicle. We're going to be enjoying it sitting on our bottoms on the sand, plugged into the bush. It's just so epic being on foot to these massive elephants. Sorry, Lou, would you just repeat Andrea's question? Andrea, you'd like to know if I've ever been charged by an elephant on foot. Quite a few times, in fact, Andrea, although only once seriously. we were on a walk and we came around a corner and saw some tracks, and we were looking at the tracks and an elephant had heard us stop. We didn't know he was there, and he came around the corner and we were just way too close to him to us. He came running at us. We ended up shouting him down. We created some distance. He came charging at us again. We shouted him down, and eventually we were walking down a path, and this was about 15 minutes later, and this elephant just decided that he had had enough and came charging down this path at us. And I remember quite clearly thinking to myself, I'm going to have to kill an elephant today. And a guest of mine had got stuck in a thorn bush, very similar to this, in a panic. And it was just too much. It was too overwhelming for her. And what happened was she ripped her clothes free and ran off at an angle to the rest of the group. And the only thing I remember doing is taking two big steps like this to get in between this elephant, which is where you are now, and seeing this elephant over my head and thinking if I pull off a shot, firstly, I don't know what I'm doing. Secondly, this elephant's going to land on me. So I ended up running a little bit to the side and waving my arms at this elephant who's standing, a yard or two in front of me. And what happened then was the elephant chased me along the edge of the riverbed. I ended up diving into the sand of the riverbed, and the elephant then, not being able to get me with this steep embankment, then turned around and walked off in a different direction, leaving me lying on the sand and all my guests scattered throughout the bush in a blind panic. That was probably one of the scariest things that I've ever encountered in my whole life. And hopefully I'll never get to repeat it again. But let's walk a bit closer. We've got this elephant now. They're going to go and bath in the dam, and hopefully we get to see their mud bath like we were just talking about. Oof, this temperature is still freezing. I'm still keeping my hands in my pockets, mainly to keep my arms close to my side. It's definitely a winter's day here. That is absolutely for sure. Now, I can only see one elephant, I can't see two. And we're just going to stay hidden, even though there's a vehicle with this particular sighting. In other words, there's two of us here. What we don't want to do is disturb this animal at all. So we'll stay hidden here behind this screen, and we'll enjoy the sighting of this elephant from where we are. And just revel in the fact that we've been with this enormous bull elephant for more than an hour now, and he doesn't even know where we are. Look at that. Nice, absolutely cool drink of water. It's quite bizarre that they go and stand on the steepest portion of the bank to go and have a drink. I mean, there's a beach on the other side of that dam that will allow this elephant a much more relaxed stance, but not even interested. One mouthful of water and then that's that. I still can't see the other elephant. I think he's walked down the river. He's just standing having a rest now. He's been quite at peace, this elephant bull, the whole walk, barring that little episode where he knew we were there because he could hear us crunching around through the leaves. He's been super relaxed and just taking his time, feeding on all the bushes. A big guy like him will need 200 kilograms of food every single day. And although inner bark, cambium, roots and branches have got some decent nutritional value as a ratio, the amount and volume that they need to eat is just unbelievable. Right, just keep an eye on this guy, and James has got some kudu for you.
We've got an actual animal, can you believe it? A whole herd of actual animals led by the inimitable Zeus, an enormous kudu bull of roughly, I'd say, 8 years. He's a good age, that fellow Zeus. There he is. We know that because each half turn of the horns takes a year. So if he's got 4 turns in his horns, then he must be 8 years old. Of course, I don't know if this is the original Zeus. a kudu with enormously widespread horns, because lots of kudu here have enormously widespread horns, and so almost all of them could be Zeus in some stage of their existence. He's with a whole lot of ladies. Now this won't be a stable arrangement. It'll be an arrangement that sort of suits him if and when the females come into estrus. But if there's no mating chance in the offing, he'll probably drift away and perhaps join a little group of bachelors. He's got a very nice beard. It looks like it was it looks a little bit like Byron's old beard. He had a designer beard at one stage. It looks like a designer beard. Either of a Cape Town hipster. It was more Cape Town hipster than Byron's south of Joburg beard. Looks a bit like Eggsy. There we go. That's the reason he's with them. He's checking to see if she's ready for mating. He's doing his little phlegm grimace, testing her urine. She wouldn't have allowed him to do that if she wasn't at least coming into estrus, so there's definitely some flirtation going on there. Zeus, my boy, you may be in luck. He's a magnificent kudu bull, that he really is spectacular. If I was a kudu cow, I would want him to be my boyfriend. Some of them are quite heavy. They're not very heavy. You can, I mean, there is one outside the tent, and you can pick them up. They're not very heavy, no. But certainly they're much too heavy for you or I to hold on our heads for any length of time without developing a very severe crick in the neck. What I find amazing is how they live in thick bush with those things sticking out of their heads. You go and take two broomsticks, or a broomstick, chop it in half, get some tape and stick it to your forehead, and see how easy it is to move around the house, let alone through a forested area like this. Not easy at all. Don't know what that little conflagration was about. I'm not sure why he ran off. Anyway, possibly to chase his ladies. In the meantime, the other ladies have thought, well, thankfully, old Zeusy boy is after our friend. We'll stay here and have a meal. We'll stay here, shoot the breeze, and have tea. Sounds like a good idea on a blustery day like this. It's almost tea time. See, now, there's no strict kudu mating season. It is, they'll time it in order to have the birth take place sometime during the rainy season. Now, if I'm not mistaken, their gestation is quite long. I think it's about 9.5 months. Might be a little bit longer. Let me quickly read for you. I have this wonderful bird app, but it's been set up about as effectively as you'd set up a novel. In other words, it's quite difficult to find the information you want. Shy and retiring, yes, disturbed, run for cover, etc., etc. Heavy, clumsy run. Come on. Doesn't say. Must say. Oh, basically they will have a breeding peak in summertime. So during the winter, just during the rain. It's very interesting that it doesn't say exactly what the gestation period is. I seem to remember it being around about 9 or 10 months. Bizarre. But as you can tell, a long time since I looked that up. Oh, hang on, sorry, I was in the wrong section, that's why. I was in the reference section. Alright, here we go. Here's quite interesting. Greater kudu bulls, like Zeus over there, produces spermatozoa at 18 months of age. Imagine having discovered that. Full dominance and weight at 6 to 7 years. She's quite young, isn't it, Louise? Alrighty. Mating periods extend from April through to June in the Kruger National Park. Before April, mature bulls associate in bachelor groups, so that should make them give birth around about January, February, which was when the leaves on the trees will be at their thickest, and possibly with less in the way of tannin, because they would have got through the growth season. So it says here, calving peak, yes. Kruger National Park extends from January to February, with a few out-of-season calves born in other months. A similar main calving period is evident in the Eastern Cape. I'm just trying to find the gestation period exactly while looking at you. Googly machine says 240 days. Well, that's very good. I mean, I could try and find it in that mass of text, but it would be quite difficult. Yes. Right. Good. Now, I'm just going to read this a little bit quickly for you, because I have told you before that kudu cows are supposedly long-lived to twice the extent that males are. That's a terrible way of saying that kudu bulls live for a shorter period than females. And what it says here is that in the Kruger National Park, male mortality is similar to that of females up to 3 years of age. But few males survive beyond 7 years. That's what I said. While females can live to 14 or 15 years. So that is actually true. Giving a functional sex ratio of fertile females per... That's very interesting. We don't really know why, though. Oh, no, we don't know why. Fascinating. Good. Okay. What have you got there, Craig? Another kudu. Magnificent. It's Kudu City out here. Let's keep learning. Unless you're bored, in which case you can go back to the lions. But let's just keep learning a little bit here. So it says here, by 6 years of age, males show obvious signs of loss of physical condition in the dry season. So they seem to be in some way unable to process the dry season forage after the age of 6. And the mortality rate of 6-year-old males is comparable to that of 12-year-old females. So they do live for half as long as the males. You know, I've told a lot of people that, and I thought about it the other day, and I thought, I don't remember where I read that, and it was probably not from a very useful source. Well, this is the oracle of mammal information in South Africa. It all comes from peer-reviewed scientific papers, so we're going to go with it. That is very interesting indeed. Okay, on we go. Craig just said to me, are you going to David's Dam? And that is Chitwadam, because David went down there quite often. The longest set of horns I've seen, I don't know, Paula, I think probably about the size of those ones there. And I would have said that they were probably almost 4 feet long each. Yeah, about 4 feet. Old Zeusy boy, long horns. Oh, look at this, Craig. We're now finally delivering some content to this drive. There's a giraffe. You can tell it's a giraffe, Craig. Do you know how you tell? It's the tail that gives it away. Yeah. It's the tail. Could be confused with a horse, but because the swishy bit only starts halfway down, you know it's not a horse. If the swishy bit started all the way at the top, you would assume that you were looking at a horse. That is definitely not a horse. It is a giraffe. I'm sure you're all very pleased that I've shared that information with you. I'm sure you didn't know it before. Now, it is eating on the low-felt milkberry, Manilcara mochisa, a very favourite tree of mine, and it does not have any spines or thorns on it, but it does produce a milky latex, which I suspect is part of its defensive mechanism. And I suspect that this giraffe will not spend an enormous amount of time feeding on these leaves, and possibly will only feed on them in the dry season like this, when the tree is not expending a huge amount of energy to put toxins in its leaves. Alright, down to David's Dam we go, while Byron's lions are on the move.
Now, they are on the move. They've moved out of the drainage line. I'm just going to reposition quickly. Unfortunately, they've been spotted by some impala already. Now, again, just as I thought, this clearing behind us is going to make it really difficult for them to hunt, because it'll make it easier for the impala to see them. So they have been spotted. Let me just move out of here and see which direction they're going, but moving straight through the clearing. Now, this will not be an easy way for them to hunt, because it is very open. So I think what happened was, initially the Inyalas saw, or just had a bad feeling. I don't think they saw the lions, but it's weird. It's the sixth sense that we often speak about with animals. And I think the Inyala decided to move away, and that caused the lions to then come out. But have a look at this. This is interesting. Straight ahead, there's a lioness, and you can see the impala alarm calling at her. See that? Now watch their behavior, how they're walking towards the lion. They want to keep an eye on it. They don't want to lose sight. And the reason for that is they don't want this lion to have an advantage. Now watch, this whole herd of impala have turned and are running back to the lions. Isn't that fascinating? So as long as the lion doesn't have or basically the element of surprise, it's very difficult for them to hunt the impala. So the impala will keep an eye on them. But you may see some younger lions trying their luck. Let's see that one's walking towards the herd of impala now. Oh, that's so unfortunate. These lions, I'm almost certain, are going to try. But this evening, perhaps under the cover of darkness, but look at the young lion. It's still hungry. It wants to try and catch something, but I guarantee you it has got no chance out in the open like this. Hold on a second. I'm going to move forward. And slowly but surely, all these lions are coming out of the drainage line, out of the thickets, into the opening. You'll find they may just go and settle down somewhere again and rest. Once they've been seen, they'll try to work on getting that element of surprise back again, and maybe trying to hunt something. They could potentially also head back down into the drainage line, which is just off to our right, and see if there's any Inyala that are still hanging around there. Oh, that so unfortunate. You asked, do I know what the word Talamati means? I don't, Minamu. I don't. I know there's an area in Kruger. There's a camp in Kruger also named Talamati. I would guess it's got something to do with water. And we can possibly ask James. Now, Mati in Shangaan, Mati is water. So I wonder if it hasn't got something to do with water. We can ask James if he knows. It could also potentially just be a name. Look at that. That's beautiful. Isn't that lion beautiful? Now they're watching these impala. There's a lion chasing just off to our left. Dave, sorry, you should see it coming through behind the bush. I just saw it kind of galloping after the impala. Let's see if it does come out again. But shame, unfortunately, this young lion that was chasing the impala has got absolutely no chance of catching them, unless it manages to chase the impala straight back into the herd, into the pride of lions. But I don't think so. No, it has turned around and it's coming back. We'll see it shortly. It's just behind some bushes at the moment. It's coming back to these lions that are out in the open in front of us. Having a bit of a run around at the moment with the lions. Now I know Steph is in the area. He had those elephants earlier, but apparently he's got a view of them on foot. Let's go across to Steph quickly.
We do have a view of the lions. They, I think, have a view of us, and we've been sort of sandwiched between wanting to know what side of the drainage line these lions are going to come out, and those elephants and the camp. So we've just decided to stay put. It was the safest place for us to be. And so we're about 200 yards or so away from these lions. No danger from them at all. And what we're just waiting to do is see which side of the riverbed they came out on. We have our answer. And so now we can cross quite safely behind them and carry on with our bushwalk. And so it's always a bit of a gamble, this, you don't quite know where to go. When you know that there are lions there, you know there are elephants there. It's a weird paradigm. We don't really care if we don't know where they are, but when we do know where they are, then all of a sudden we don't know, the indecision of not knowing where to walk. But right now, we're just trying to keep our profile low, trying to stay as unintimidating as possible, and just stay out of view for the most part. And hopefully these lions will just walk right on by and leave us alone and leave us to our business, really. Now, lion on foot during the day, a pride of lion, not too much of a problem. But the lions are almost like they have split personalities. At night time you encounter a lion on foot. It's a much more different beast than it is during the day. And they become more bold, they become inquisitive. You can almost feel their personality change. The night time is definitely the time of day that lions are absolutely at their ease and are king of their domain. And hopefully these lions now walk right past us, which would be quite nice. And but something that isn't going to be walking past anybody at the moment is the animal that James is with.
No, not walking past anyone at the moment. A very unusual sighting we have here, of course, because we have them all out of the water, which is quite fun. Now, we haven't come across them out of the water like this before that I can remember. And so it's really quite fun having them there, is it not? I think it is. Lots of fat bodies, peppered with oxpeckers, and it's obviously become so chilly in the water that they've decided to come out. And you only normally see this on a pretty chilly day, but often only in the sun as well. So maybe I need to think quite carefully before I start saying why they're out of the water. I don't really understand why they should be out of the water, because they're often in the water in the much colder temperatures of the morning. I suppose perhaps it's just not hot enough for them to need to be in the water, so they may as well have a snooze outside of it. It's going to be my guess for now. But they really are. Let's count them and see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 or so hippopotami out of the water. Now, that's not the only thing we're sitting and looking at over here. We have got... Louis says they look like tourists who have gone on their first summer holiday from Britain. I'm assuming you mean, Louise. I think that is a very, very accurate description of those pink animals. Yes, yes. All right, let's have a look at the crocodilian that we have here as well. He's a very large fellow, and he's quite close to us. And he does not have a face that speaks of anything other than malevolence, does it? Yes, what a vicious fellow you are. The light here is really not wonderful, but that's just the case when a cold front comes in. Then there's one at the far end of the waterhole just going into it, which is quite nice. This is Chitwa Waterhole, in case anyone's wondering where we are and what those buildings are. That's Chitwa Lodge, Chitwa. Very nice lodge in the Sabi Sand, the northern Sabi Sand, in my opinion, the top lodge in the northern Sabi Sand. It is very gorgeous, very exclusive, nice spacious rooms, pretty camp. It's called a marketing pitch, everyone, for which I don't think I get any benefit. No, I don't, except I get to come here. Now, we've also, once you've seen these chaps get into the water... No, Ryan, all the way from Texas, I do not believe that the lions, certainly the ones that you saw, would engage those hippos to try and eat one. I also think the hippos would not stay where they were if there was a pride of lions close by. But, you know, there's so much water here that the hippos would just run into the water and the lions would fall off. And there's also so much else for the lions to eat, so I'm really not sure why they would have a go at the, at hippos. But it's not impossible. Could easily happen. I mean, could not easily happen, but it may happen. But I would say highly unlikely. The little ones in the water there, that's just typical, of course. Kids liking to swim and their parents saying, let's get out, dry yourself off, do your homework. The little one on the right telling his mother that there's no chance he's going to be doing his homework, it's Friday. His mother looking very sternly at him, saying, oh, Friday is not the weekend, Saturday is the weekend, you must do your homework on Friday. I was always told that. She looks like she's giving them both a thorough haranguing for their poor behaviour. This is really quite sweet. I've no doubt there's some kind of communication going on, but I couldn't begin to tell you what it is. Kalina, hippopotamus cannot swim. Dun dun dun, shock, horror, awe. So they can't actually float. And so when they move in the water, they sink to the bottom, run along the bottom, and then because they're quite buoyant, they just push themselves up to the top, take a breath, sink back down again, and run along the bottom. So when they're moving in water, that's how they move. They can move at an astonishing speed through the water, though. I mean, I don't know how fast, but they will certainly catch a sort of man-poled canoe. You know, so if you're poling along in a dugout canoe, a hippopotamus could catch you if you really wanted to. No, not a gondola, Louise, a mokoro. I imagine they could catch a gondola quite easily. It'd be quite amusing to plop couple of these in the canals in Venice and see what happened. It would be very unkind to the hippo, of course. They wouldn't want to be living in water that dirty, I'm sure. Now, we've also got some fish eaglies. There's one fish eagly. And there is a second fish eagly. They're not talking to each other. You can see they're facing away from each other, contemplating the weekend alone, hoping that they will come to terms with their differences and spend it perhaps doing a fun activity together. Yes, you see that's exactly what's going on here. Louise has perfectly summarized what's going on. She says, He doesn't want to take her out tonight. He wants to stay home and watch France playing in the World Cup. Yes, I suppose that's probably exactly what's going on. She, rather like me, finds it difficult to care about the World Cup. Craig, have you been following the FIFA World Cup? I can't believe I used the term FIFA. Let me just spit quickly. You haven't. Yes, good man. Righty, I think we've milked this sighting for what it's going to give us. Let's have one last look at this crocodile, because really he's quite impressive. Oh, Sinak, the best African swimmer is a chap called Chad Leclerc. He's a gold medalist Olympian, closely followed by another chap called Roland Skuman. And who was the other chap who used to win all the swimming? Roland Skuman and Ryk Neetling. Now, they were the best swimmers in all of Africa, but at the moment that's Chad Leclerc. Chad Leclerc likes to swim the butterfly at a great speed. So other than that, though, I'm obviously being facetious. The top swimmer, mammal swimmer in Africa, well, I suppose depends if you're counting the coastlines, or are we only considering inland water bodies? If we're considering the coastlines, well, then we're any number of dolphin and whale species. But if we're, I'm assuming you mean inland waterways. Let's think of the Mara River. Animals going across the Mara. They can all swim, you know. Buffalo not so good. Wildebeest can swim. They get eaten a lot. Zebra pretty good. Zebra quite strong. Lions not great. Leopards are very good in the water. They can definitely swim well. Not sure what else. I imagine there are probably a couple of rodent species that are pretty nifty in the water. It's a really nice question, actually. The best mammal swimmer on the inland waters of Africa. Elephants are okay, yeah, not bad. Not sure how floaty they are. They do struggle in very deep water, I think. But they do have a snorkel, as Louise says. Yes, they do have a snorkel. I am not a good swimmer. Craig, you're quite a good swimmer, aren't you? He says he's okay. That probably means that he can beat Chad Leclerc at the butterfly. Crocodiles are obviously very good swimmers, but they're not mammals. But if we're just going with animal, then we must obviously include all the fish, which are far better swimmers than all the reptiles and all the mammals. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our David's Dam sighting for the day. Let's continue. I've had no update on the Game Drive radio for what is going on Chitwa, so we'll just have a quick loop around here and then head back towards Juma. I believe now... Oh, I think we'll skip the bushwalk for now, if that's all right with you, Louise. There are 40 elephants come down to drink here that I didn't notice behind us. Here they are. I didn't see them. I didn't hear them. That's quite a nice surprise. That's very kind. Thank you, Louise. Louise says she'll be investing in a hearing aid for me for my birthday. Thank you, Louise. I'll be investing in a small pot of arsenic for you. There we have a lovely herd of elephants having a pleasant drink. I doubt they're going to go swimming today to demonstrate their swimming skills because it's just a little bit chilly. Actually, the temperature I think is probably not much higher than 16 or so, 61? 61, 16? Yes, I knew that. It was 1967 when we started, apparently. No, it is not. We're close to 19 Celsius over here in the wind. I'll tell you that for free, it's much colder than that. I'm not sure how we're going to cope in a cold here. I must not keep defaulting to the voice of Scuba Steve. I must keep it unique for him. Oh, there's suckling going on, that's wonderful. Not water for everybody, milk for some. And of course I think that little one is being very clever because he or she has realised that Mum is going to be stationary for a while and is going to take the opportunity therefore to have a suckle. Quite often it seems like the parents are being or the mothers are being unkind by moving all the time while the little ones are trying to suckle, but I'm sure it's all part of the weaning process. Louise is now saying also, of course, that they need to learn that life doesn't always give you things, that there are no free lunches, that no one cares of your troubles and your strife. And you'll have to sort yourself out. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrows. Let's hope that that elephant doesn't grow up having to sing that great old spiritual song. At the moment he's now swapping to the other side. He's quite big to be suckling. And his mum is very kind and very sweet to him. There's a much smaller one there, Craig, playing with Mum's trunk, I think, actually. No, trying to suckle. Gosh, look at this. All of them thinking this is a good idea. Those two younger than the first one we looked at. It's feeding time. Let's all go down to the water. We'll shoot the breeze while the kids eat. Have a bit of a drink. Just water, of course. You can hear the wind, I'm sure, starting to come up now. I'm glad we've got our back to it at the moment. It's very lovely here, you know. Whenever there's nothing to do, or whenever there is very little to do on drive from a animal point of view, to come down to this waterhole is always great. There's always something fun going on here, and there's always a great deal of peace, I feel, to be had sitting on the shores of the rippling waters. If you're wondering where Byron is, he's had to go back to camp because he broke his microphone. I hope that when you see him next, you will shout at him and tell him to take good care of his stuff. Ooh, that is a nasty wind coming up. He's just trying to make a joke. I'm not going to tell you what it was. She stopped halfway and said, no, forget it. Oh, look at them trying to get up the top there. Little one getting very cross, using his knees to climb, probably saying, I can't, and his mother saying, you will. There, I did it, he says. I'm so big and strong. Ah, it's great. The wind is not particularly delightful at this stage. I really thought that we were going to be over this cold front. My parents yesterday in the Cape were sitting in perfect stillness, Eastern Cape, perfect stillness, in the sun, which was warm and pleasant, and that normally occurs here sort of 2 days later, or a day later. He's using a bit of a jungle gym, he likes to climb, this fellow. One of the kids that was watching, I think it was yesterday morning, asked, what's the strongest animal in Africa? And I had to say, of course, the elephant. But then to try and explain to young kids what relative strength means was quite difficult. But it's very interesting. You watch how awkwardly they walk up and down steps and that sort of thing, and they manage fine, but it's pretty awkward from time to time. And that's because their power to mass ratio is really quite low. So obviously the higher your power to mass ratio is, the greater your ability to sort of fling yourself about. So somebody who can do a one-arm pull-up, for example, have an extremely high power to mass ratio. Now these elephants are absolutely nowhere close to something like some of the termites or ants or the primates that we have out here, which have a much higher power to rate ratio, and I believe you're going now to see somebody with a very impressive power to weight ratio.
I don't know where James gets that from. Yesterday, James and I had an exercise routine with one another, and after we finished, James did another 50 push-ups. 50, all at the same time, after we finished with the exercise routine that we were busy with. That is another level of fit and strong, that man. We've managed to now walk around the elephants, walk around the lions, and are now making our way into a patch of bush that we haven't been in yet today, and seeing what we can find, basically. Haven't found anything too exciting just yet, except for some green pigeons that we're busy catching the last rays of the sunset. Not that there has been much of a sunset today, but nevertheless, we've got the ending of a day, and it's just nice to be in this particular block. I have many fond memories of this place: elephant, buffalo, leopard. I think the first time I ever saw Quarantine was right here. He was sitting on top of a marula tree all those years ago when he was still here, and lots of buffalo around in this place just before the drought was really at its worst. There must have been a herd of about 30 male buffalo that used to frequent this area, and just one by one they were just picked off, unfortunately, as we went through the drought, and the Nkuhumas just became better and better and better at hunting them. What is interesting to note is that the wind is coming from the south. Now, traditionally we get all of our rain, well, not all of it, most of our rain from the south. It blows in from the south, and just as it so happens today, the wind changed from a northerly blowing wind, which is what it is predominantly during winter time here, to a southerly blowing wind, and whoom, clouds came over, and with it a drop in temperature. It is not, I mean, it's by no means freezing, but it is uncomfortable. Jean-Andre forgot his jersey, and so he is freezing and shivering. So the slight vibration that you're going to feel on the camera is Jean-Andre trying to stay warm. We've been marching as fast as what we can to try and get some heat into his muscles. Of course, he's got a body fat index of about 0.001%, which is why he actually can't stay warm. But nevertheless, come and have a look over here. So this gives us this fallen down tree is able to give us some unique insight into a whole nesting, a nest, a cavity. So up on this dead branch here, you can see how the borer beetles, and between the borer beetles and termites, they've managed to hollow out the branch, and it then became the home of a woodpecker. And you can see on the other side, you can see a hole from a woodpecker. And then when the tree fell down, a portion of the bark fell out and allows us to see inside there. Now, cavities in trees are hot real estate, and they will be hotly contested by a whole series of birds who, funnily enough, to make sure that the hole stays used throughout the year, will have different breeding times. So some birds they will breed and lay their eggs January to March, others will be from March to May, others from May all the way through to August, and then so on and so forth. And any hole that isn't or doesn't have anyone in gets taken over by bush babies, will get taken over by jennets, will get taken over by bees or wasps. So real estate like that, very, very tough to come by. Quite nice, we can see inside there. Who knows what pushed this tree over? Could have been an elephant trying to scratch itself. It could have even been wind. We get quite strong gusts coming through here on stormy days. I would say that the highest winds that we find out here are associated to storms, and it's not uncommon for us to have rain here or rainfall storms here of 100 millimeters. Now 100 millimeters of rain is about that much rain. It's not that much in terms of, you know, worldwide standards. In the rainforest they get 100 mils of rain, you know, just quickly for a morning wash through. But out here the bush doesn't do well with 100 millimeters of rain. Anything above 60 mils of rain, and you can actually have local flooding here. It really is, and it can be quite devastating. Let's see if there's anything interesting to have a look at over here, barring just this lovely grove of marula trees and this knobthorn. These trees, unfortunately, are going to start to get more and more attention from elephants. We're looking at this one with the leaves. And the reason for that is that for some reason elephants really enjoy the inside bark of these trees and will quite often just ring bark the tree and peel off huge slabs of knobthorn bark and roll it up and stuff it into their mouths. And in so doing, kill a vast majority of these knobthorns. And in my time here at Djuma and in the Sabi Sands, I've seen a dramatic decrease in knobthorn trees. And you don't really know what the elephant's plan is. A lot of people are saying because there's too many elephants, we now need to protect the trees. Others are saying elephants have been in numbers far greater historically than what they are now, and so this is just normal, and that there's too many knobthorn trees, and the elephants are just bringing their numbers down into an equilibrium with the bush. Who knows? Time will tell, I think, and we'll marvel at the beauty of a knobthorn while we can. All right, James has got a hyena on the move.
We've got hyena. They're not really so much on the move. They are sitting here at the site where Tingana yesterday had his bushbuck in a tree. And I wonder why that should be the case. I wonder if if he dropped a piece yesterday and they spent the rest of the day. They've just got up and started moving now. The tail's up, see that? Let's follow them. I think that's a good idea. I think it's an excellent idea. I spent so little time around hyenas here of late. So Tingana was in a tree just beyond here. I wasn't really expecting him to find him here, but thought I would have a look regardless. Tail of the front one is up. And those of you who are the hyena experts of SafariLive, feel free to tell us who you think these chaps are. I've got absolutely no idea. I can begin to tell you. We're going down into this little drainage system. I don't know why they got up suddenly. May have been our arrival. So this was the scraggly tree that Tingana was in. Tail's now up on two of them. This kill is still there, but the leopard is not. Can you see the kill? It's quite difficult to see. Go ahead. I'm just getting called on the radio. Oh, there's the leopard, straight across. Yeah, we've just got a view of him. I asked for an update. I didn't know that anybody was in the sighting. Is someone in the sighting? Okay, copy. Yeah, we've just located him. He's on the southern bank. He's just above your head there. Keep coming. And 3 hyenas in front of you. That's fantastic. So, what a luck. Tingana is watching the hyenas. And the hyenas are disinterested in Tingana, but they are interested in the kill that he's left in the tree. Craigus, let me just reposition slightly. We might get a better view of him. Just want to frighten the hyenas. Can you get his face there? Let's go over the top of my head. No. Sort of. Is that alright? For now. We can go round to see him a little bit later, but that's quite nice. This is wonderful. 1, 2, 3, 4 hyenas. They obviously know he's there. He definitely knows that they are here. But there seems to be a truce. If those were wild dogs, if the hyenas were wild dogs, he'd never lie there. He'd be up a tree like a shot or running away. And I think many of you are very pleased that we have got both these rather iconic creatures on camera. Yeah, it's in that... No, it's not quite... Sorry, I'm just thinking about where the kill is. Talking rubbish. Andrea, when I said the tails, their tails were up, what I meant was their tails were up. So I know it's an expression, obviously, as well, but one of them had his tail lifted. That tail was up. It looked like a male to me, but it could have been a female. And what it indicates, Andrea, is a sort of heightened excitement. And often they do it if they're having a fight or a territorial box or something like that. They put their tails up. So that's all I meant by that. I know, obviously, it's an English expression which means they are kind of... What does it mean if your tail's up? It means you're feeling good. You've won something, and now you're feeling good. And you're likely to succeed again, I suppose. That's just a little pump house there. I'm not sure if it's pumping any water, actually. I don't think it does. He'll be looking for possibly a bit of gut that was sunk there. I'm just trying to unearth. This is very special, everybody. You know, it's a long... Oh, we're just digging a little hole to sit in. Very nice. Well done. I shall try that myself the next time I go to the beach. This is a wonderful adult hyena sighting. You know, we very seldom get them this close to us here. The adults often just move off quite quickly. Oh, hyenas just chased Tingana down. Check up the top there. Tingana's running along to the left. You know, you won't see him, Craig. I can just see his tail flicking there. So a hyena came in from the top, chased him straight down past the cane dryer vehicle that was over there. I'm just going to move slightly. All the other hyenas ran. This one looks like a bigger female to me, and the other guys have taken off. Maybe because they thought the leopard was going to come this way, or because they fear that hyena. No, we're not going to get him here. I'm going to suggest we go down into the riverbed here. We might get a better view. That was fascinating. I'm sad I missed it. All I saw was a flash of white as his belly sort of exploded up off the ground. All right, it's now time for you to go and shout at Byron about his lack of care for the equipment, and I'm going to see if I can find Tingana again.
I do apologize, everyone. I did have some mic issues, but it's all fixed now. I think we're good to go, so it's too soon to panic. Now, we left the lions. The reason we did that was to give everybody else a view, and also with them moving into the clearing, I don't think they've got any chance of hunting now, possibly this evening. I do think they are going to try and hunt maybe in the clearings if they are lucky. It would be a lot harder for them, but you never know. We did pass some wildebeest and impala all out on those clearings, so maybe this evening there could be some action. We're not sure. There are a number of vehicles there, and they'll keep us in the loop if anything does happen, but I don't think those lions have got a chance of hunting now. Maybe under the cover of darkness a little bit later. Glad James got a leopard. I could hear he was starting to get very grumpy on the radio, so thank goodness James got a cat. We don't want a grumpy James in camp. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all. And then Steph's been enjoying his walk. Actually, I need to show you all something. Have a look at this. Now, Steph disappeared today for about 4 hours. And we weren't sure exactly where he's gone. But if you have a look at our steering wheel, he has weaved rope right around the steering wheel. He was really bored today, so he decided to weave this rope right around the steering wheel, basically just give us a better handle on one of the vehicles, Wendy, which is amazing. I feel like a semi-racing car driver now. Look at this. So thank you, Steph, for taking 4 hours out of your day to weave some rope around the steering wheel. It is quite impressive. He was obviously very bored. Oh, right. I do apologize. Apparently, it's not just any rope. This is military-grade paracord that Steph has found and woven around the steering wheel, and apparently it is strong enough to tow a car. So that is amazing. So if we ever need towing, we have a tow rope on our steering wheel, which we can then use. Or if I ever need to, I don't know, abseil from a tree, or I can use this rope, perhaps. Steph Grills. I think that's Steph Grills. Steph Grills. I don't know if you've all seen Bear Grylls. He's the guy who gets left in the bush apparently and survives. I think Steph will give him a run for his money. I think so. And judging by him and James's gym routine, we've got a serious coalition at Juma at the moment. James being the dark-maned male, Steph slightly fairer in coloration. Oh dear, you see what the cold weather does. Animals tend to disappear and we start speaking rubbish. Now I think it's my turn to find a honey badger, because this story with James and Steph seeing honey badgers has really made me very, very jealous, and I'm going to try my best to spot a honey badger running through the grass. I think tomorrow at some point I'm going to go into that area where James saw that honey badger. Now, book lover, do I have a tip of the day? Yes, I haven't done a tip of the day for a while. I wonder what a tip of the day can be today. I was going to do something different for this little stint. I was going to do something different for this stint. Maybe I'll still do it from tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, but yes, tip of the day, look after your equipment and don't break it when you are on safari. You never know when you may need it. or if it does break. It wasn't my fault, to be completely honest. It was not my fault. It was manufacturer error, I believe. I'm putting it down to that. Now I will think of a proper decent tip of the day. I wonder. We'll think of something. I'll think of something. But let's carry on trying to find some animals around here. Kia, you asked if I've ever seen, or if we ever see caracals at Djuma. I have never seen a caracal in the wild. For some reason, it's one of those animals that just constantly evades me. I never get to see it, and I really, really hope I see one in the wild one day. I think Taylor has seen a caracal in this area in the northern Sabi Sands. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I actually saw one on Cheetah Plains. Sorry, Cheetah Plains a few years ago, like a year or two ago. So she did see a caracal there. I'm not sure if any of the other guides have seen in this area. I know quite a few years ago there was one kind of resident around Singita, and a few Singita guides got to see it. I never got to see it though. So they are around, just really, really rare, quite scarce in this area. I think generally drier, colder regions down in the Eastern Cape, the southeastern part of South Africa, you find a lot of caracal around there. I'd love to see amazing animals, beautiful, beautiful animals. Nice bachelor herd of impala. There's a duiker bowing through the grass. I think it's, we just missed it, unfortunately. Now have a look, these impala rams using these middens. I'm just moving off there now. But if you have a look, sorry Dave, just to the right, this impala, notice over here, using the middens. Look at that. You see those middens, see scraping its feet a little bit through there. It does mark their scent, mark their territory somewhat, although this is a bachelor herd, but they do still use these middens. There's definitely signs of communication. See, that male has gone and sniffed and urinating in the same spot, and will possibly drop some dung pellets over there. No, just urinating on the same spot. Urinating on both. That's quite interesting. Scent marking. All right, well, I'm going to continue my search for a honey badger. Let's go to the bushman himself, Steph Grills, and find out what he's up to.
I'm so glad that Brian is actually taking note of the hard work that I did today on his steering wheel. That thing took me 4 hours to wrap today, and it was not because I didn't have anything to do. It was on my list of things to do. It just took far longer than what I actually anticipated it to. So anyway, thank you very much, Byron. Much appreciated. This is a squirrel's nest. Back to what we're actually supposed to be doing, is showing you interesting things. This is a squirrel's nest, and one of the very rare glimpses we get to actually see the type of nest that they build. So this squirrel would have probably entered from here before the tree rotted away, and then packs the cavity full of leaves and elephant dung and grasses, and makes a proper nest for themselves. And they make the cutest nests. And this is where they spend the evenings. The squirrels that I have living in my house, they go to bed at sunset, and they wake up. The male squirrel wakes up about 20 minutes before the sun comes up, and the female squirrel wakes up about an hour and a half after the sun comes up. She definitely lies in and waits for the sun to be well up before she decides to leave her bed. So that's what it looks like in the wild. And this particular tree is an apple leaf tree, and their cores rot out quite easily. And in fact, if there was a fire here, I would expect that this core would burn out completely, leaving the most fantastic shapes. They quite often get hollow and make these types of shapes. And I just like these apple leaf trees. They're really cool. For those of you who don't know why it's called an apple leaf tree, they have the most epic leaves. I want to hold it close to my microphone. Listen carefully. Okay, are you ready? So that's why they're called an apple leaf, because it sounds like you're chewing on the crunchiest green apple that you can. Oh, and they got such an awesome smell. They got a silkworm smell. Now, for those of you who have ever kept silkworms, you'll know when you open up the box of silkworms and you stick your head in, that mulberry leaf wormy smell that you can smell is the smell of a apple leaf. And it just brings back memories of me having silkworms as a kid. Oh yeah, summer. Right, let's carry on. We're slowly coming to the end of what we're able to do on bushwalk. And with those lions in the area, I'm not wanting to stay out until it's too dark, because we might just become part of the food chain, and that is not what I want to do. So we're going to be making our way off of quarantine and into camp, and so that's the end of bushwalk. You're off to James and Tingana.
Now you've joined us just in time, because we have got a number of hyenas sneaking up on Tingana now. They're just in front of us, somewhere over there. Craig spotted them. There we are, and we're shortly going to go into infrared mode. Beautiful. They can smell the rotting carcass of the bushbuck in the tree, not far from here, not come down the road. Now, if you don't or weren't with us yesterday, you will maybe not know that Tingana found the discarded carcass of a bushbuck, discarded by not hyenas, by wild dogs that killed it, ate their fill, and didn't know what else to do with it, and they just left it. And he found it and pulled it into the tree that we were parked underneath initially. And I haven't been back here today, but clearly there's still quite a lot of action going on. Tingana's watching these hyenas. He can sort of see them. I'm pretty sure he can see them. He'll just nip into the tree if he has any trouble from them. There he is. Now, his reaction to the wild dogs we saw him with 2 days ago could not have been more different. He disappeared as soon as he saw them, straight up a tree. He did not hang around, he didn't make a noise, he just went straight up the tree. But the hyenas obviously are not quite as threatening to him. Which I find fascinating, because they could, in theory, I think, do a lot more damage. But clearly they're not animals that will try and attack him very often, unless there is meat in the offing. They won't just sort of go for him for the sake of it. So there's a little bit of a Mexican standoff here. He looks like he's almost about to drop off. But he won't be very pleased by their presence. You can see his ears are back. Ah, now thank you, Chris Rogue. You say one of the hyenas in this sighting is Corky of the Juma clan, so named for her propensity to cork up the holes in the den. Very interesting stuff, this unfolding here. I don't think there's anyone else coming here, which we should be able to stay, hopefully for the rest of the drive. The hyena's now going around behind us. I'm not going to move, we're going to stay here, because we've got the best view of him possible. But he really does not look particularly panicked. He's not growling. He's obviously listening very carefully, and it's not to my voice, I don't think. And obviously with that sort of expression of flat back ears, he doesn't look particularly friendly. Now he's watching one walk straight past the front of us. Hello? Hello there, how are you? All hoping that what remains of the bushbuck will drop down out of the tree and allow them access to it. Might or might not happen, depending on whether he goes up there to have an eat. Oh, he's looking at Craig with, well, a fair degree of affection there, Craig. I think he quite likes you. Tingana now getting a little bit more uneasy, most likely because he can't see where the hyenas are. No, he can, they're behind us. So I think we're just going to wait here, we're not going to move just yet. Listening carefully. I think he's thinking about going up the tree. That's not our light, everyone. It is, I must just say, it looks much brighter on the screen than it does in real life. And of course, you know, the guests out here are not blessed with infrared lights. No, he's totally relaxed now. Those hyenas have got no interest in coming to harass him. You know, hyenas are good hunters, but they don't have to hunt. And they are very versatile. And so, if they don't have to hunt, if they're able to steal food that's already been killed, and therefore lessen the risk that they have to take to get a meal, they'll do that. As will a leopard, as will a lion. So although hyenas in this particular area do less hunting than lions and leopards and cheetahs and wild dogs, it's really not sort of beyond the... I mean, the reason for that is it's just easier for them to scavenge. In the Mara, that happy zebra clan, for example, that we've been spending quite a lot of time with. Okay, we're going to go into infrared now, Louise, if that's okay. That happy zebra clan does a lot of hunting of buffalo, because it's easier then. Okay, go. We are now in infrared. We didn't get any green there, which means we did a very good job. believe that the lions are pretty much in our camp, so that's why Byron's not with them anymore. Hopefully they'll stay out of camp. We don't want them in camp with us. So I don't think we're going to go anywhere. Let's stay here and see what plays out. The hyenas have moved off. He's looking pretty chilled. His Friday evening's going quite well. He's had enough to eat, have a little snack a bit later, managed to avoid the hyenas. In fact, he's still breathing quite heavily, which of course is a function of the very good meals he's had over the last little while. If Byron is bumbling about, and, well, while we wait for Tingana to do something, let's go across to him.
Well, hopefully you have some luck with Tingana there, James. Hopefully he moves around a little bit more, heads back up the tree. I'm heading back into that area with those lions. They're not far from the clearings in front of camp. So I'm hoping that maybe now, under the cover of darkness, we can sit and watch with our infrared and maybe get some action. Let's see. So I'm not too far. Just trying to spotlight. Sorry, Dave. There's a little scrub here running next to me. Got to keep watching out for every little creature that we may potentially find. But this is exciting because there's a lot of animals in those clearings around camp. And those lions are still moving. Again, it's very open there. It's difficult to hunt. I don't know if they're going to be lucky, but they could potentially flush something out or something in the thicket around those clearings. So let's see. Now, it's been a wonderful afternoon again. It's been so exciting. A lot happening. A lot going on. Still very cloudy and overcast. Nice cold, chilly evening, but it is windy. Perfect for these predators to try and hunt. I've mentioned this before, especially after rain or storms or anything like that, we tend to find a lot of predators with kills the next day, because all of that noise and commotion and the sound of the rain masks their scent for one thing, but also makes it very noisy, so that the prey species struggle to listen out or hear and see these predators, so it makes it a bit easier to stalk, hunt them. Now I can see some wildebeest in the clearings off to my left, but I think the lions are on the other side of the clearing, so I'm going to try and get theirs. Oh wow, sorry, two male impala just having a serious fight next to us. Look at that. There's a lot of rutting. Oh, sorry. Let's try reposition quickly. Just have a look at this. This is an intense fight going on here. There's a lot of fighting. Let's see. It's these two off to our left. But that was a serious fight going on. You can hear the grunts of these other impala around. Now we're out of the rut. There's no reason why these males should be challenging one another like this, but it still happens within these bachelor herds. They really do hit each other quite hard. Now, where was it? I saw a video recently. There was a guide, he was driving guests, watching two impala rams fighting in front of them, and they were really having a full go at it. And often what happens then is their awareness drops drastically, and this leopard came bounding out of the bush, just missed the two impala, tried to grab one but just missed them right in front of the guests. They didn't see it until it leaped out of the bush. These males seem to have settled down. Okay, let's carry on to those lions. But that was amazing. They had a huge fight right next to us. That was a proper full-on fight from those two impala. Let's see, hopefully we can find these lions again. But I know they walked right past camp, the entrance to camp. Just as well Steph and them got back just before that. They may or may not have had a little bit of a surprise if they walked back a few minutes later. Who knows? Steph would have probably tied the lions in a knot or something, and I don't know. He seems to be good with knots. All that training with Mr. Biceps Hendry. Heavyweight Henry. Actually, I see Steph and them are not actually back at camp yet. They were standing in the clearing waiting for the lions to pass. Alright, let's have a look. We're not far from these lions now. Here they are. Here they are. Can you see there, Dave? There we go. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. So Steph and them are still out in the clearings. But they will be alright. They will be alright. If we need to, we can always go and fetch them. But, well, I mean, if the impala and wildebeest can see the lions coming on the clearing, Steph and Herbie and who's walking with Steph today? Is it Jandre? Yeah. Jandre, they should see the lions. Oh, look at that. Now, you see, again, what's happening here is I think these lions are spreading out and potentially going to try and look for those herds, that herd of wildebeest, those herds of impala. There are a lot of animals around here. So we'll see which direction they go. I'm just trying to have a look to see if I can see any of the others. Alright, no, nothing here yet. I wonder if they didn't turn and go back that way. Let me try to see if I can find the rest of the pride. In the meantime, let's go to James and that leopard.
Well, the pride should be probably just outside your door, Byron. So good luck with that. And of course I think he needs to help Steph and Herberto and John Dree get back into camp, because it's difficult walking past a pride of lions in the darkness. It's not something you want to try and do. Now we can see exactly how much Tingana has been eating from the size of his belly. The answer is a lot. And as I said, I'm surprised to see him here. A full, what is it now? Yeah, it's 48 hours pretty much after that bushbuck was killed. So he's been here probably 36 hours. Which is quite a long time, really. Breathing heavily. And not doing much else. As I said to Craig, this guy likes to sleep these days. And all cats like a sleep. But I think perhaps as he gets older, he likes to have a bit more sleep. Not vaguely phased anymore. And of course, while he is fast asleep now, were there to be a cracking of, or just a very small scrunching of leaves anywhere near him, he'd shoot up in a second. So nothing is going to be able to sneak up on him. The only thing that might sneak up on him is another leopard. Oh, wonderful. Apparently you're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at our camp now. I think we should.
All right, now these lions have now changed direction again. They're now heading back towards camp. So across the entrance, of camp. This is really exciting. So right here, there they go. I'm just going to change positions quickly. It sounds like Steph has managed to get a ride with somebody. So Steph and Genre and Herbie are all safe and in a vehicle heading back to camp. It's too soon to panic. Would have been interesting though, walking into lions at night. They're still moving through the grass. It's going to be difficult to follow them through here. This section's quite thick. It's basically towards the tent is where these lions are heading now. And again, yeah, it's a perfect area for them to potentially try and hunt. Let's see if we can try and get another view of them. So the tent is just through there. But this thicket is perfect for them to hunt, although I think a lot of the animals, because of the wind, they've all come out onto the clearings already. So possibly you may have missed some, but you never know. There could potentially still be Inyala. As we saw earlier today, there's a lot of Inyala around. Let's just quickly go forward here. Hold on. One or two other vehicles here. Trying to see where these lions go. It's going to be a bit difficult to follow them through here now. There they go. There they go. Can you just see them through there? Hold on a second. Let me try and get some light there. There we go. There you go. The lions. See, so now they're sticking to the thickets and just moving along through there. It is definitely going to be worthwhile trying to find these lions tomorrow morning, because I'm sure, hopefully, they will be lucky tonight and get something to kill, or get something to eat rather. It's a bit thick through here now. We'll see. You know where they may come out? Possibly on that next road. They're heading towards Gallagher shortcut. Maybe they come out there. Let's see, I'm going to try and just keep an eye out for them here. But what a really exciting day. Even though we haven't seen the lions hunt, it's been great to see them moving around, the animals reacting to them, those impala alarm calling earlier. It's always wonderful just to see that interaction with these different animals. As you can see, it's very thick through here now. I don't know if we're going to get another view of them unless they come out up ahead. Let's just try, see if we get another view of these lions. Might be worthwhile just sitting tight for a few minutes. But I think, you know what, is that a lot of you are asking if we have flyer with us. I'm sorry, I am mocking the name a little bit, I apologize. We do have the FLIR camera. However, we don't have a link for it. It's getting sorted out. It's all going to be up and running properly soon. So we will try get you some thermal imagery. Ah, there's an elephant. Let's watch the elephant for a while, shall we? Ah, this is great. Look at that. So now these lions are possibly the same elephant Steph had earlier, one of the elephants Steph had. Now these lions are still moving through these thickets, but I think, why don't we just sit here for a while and hold on. I'd like to just reposition a little bit. I'll tell you why. I want you to see if we can maybe listen to this elephant feeding a bit. Seems very relaxed. Beautiful, beautiful male. Hello. So, Can we maybe? Yeah. So let's sit here and listen to him. Watch. Feeding on those branches. Can you hear him crushing those dry leaves? Isn't it amazing? Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. I must be honest, there's something about sitting close to an elephant at night where you just see this huge grey shape, this dark shape move past you. It really is wonderful. Let's just listen to the leaves, those dry leaves that he's crunching on at the moment. It's wonderful. Now, we haven't seen those lions again. I think they've moved down towards Gallagher Pan. So around the other side. Oh, hello. He's not happy about me speaking about the lions. I do apologize. We'll carry on speaking about you then. I'm sorry about that aerial. I don't want to move because this elephant is quite close. I don't want to disturb him. But that was wonderful. And as I said, earlier, you can be sitting with lions, following lions. You never know. Something will still happen. Something else will come about. And sitting with a big elephant like this is just amazing. Now, as I said, those lions have moved through this dense thicket down towards Gallagher Pan. So, you know what, we're not going to, I don't think we're going to follow through there. I don't think they've got a view of them at the moment. I might just turn around and try to get one more view of the elephant. But in the meantime, let's find out if James has got better signal.
Our signal is fine, but we've left our leopard because he was fast asleep. That's quite poetic. Our signal is fine, we've left our leopard because he was fast asleep. And now we are driving down the road and up toward the camp. That was not quite so poetic. Let us hope that the lions, which have moved off, do not return to our camp. I suspect they're going to head well north out of the reserve now. They are far out of their normal territory. And possibly so because, of course, the Nkuhuma pride has been spending so much time in the west. Hello, Daika. Let us look at you in infrared. There you are. Or you could just run away like you always do. I must confess that Daika's approach to life is somewhat mystifying to me. They are eaten much by leopards, lions, dogs, anything that can get hold of them, and yet they seem to be the most skittish of most of the antelope. So how they are eaten so regularly when they have so little in the way of bravery is mystifying. Clearly their sort of what would we say, their avoidance strategy is not something that works very well. No, it's not the brave ones being eaten. They're all chicken, Louise. None of them will stand still enough for long enough to put a camera on them. And yet they're being savaged by all and sundry. And there's some impala. We're not going to stop for them. We'll just keep going. Of got a few minutes left to find you a nocturnal creature. I'll do my best. Saw some civet tracks yesterday. Seen civet tracks just about every single morning I've been out on walk. I think we've seen one civet in my 3 years here. One civet. There are many more than one civet around. Sinak, you wanted a civet. I'll do my best. Don't hold out much hope. Maybe with the thermal drone we'll find some. We will be out again, of course, tomorrow at 5:30 with a thermal drone. We won't be live on Drive again until 6:30, so it's still more testing. We've got a whole lot of new hardware and software today that will hopefully make the process slightly more efficient than it has been to date. But we did have a very successful test today, and I don't know if you managed to watch our little Facebook Live broadcast of finding Tlalamba with the thermal drone. It was very interesting indeed. Extremely difficult to tell what you're looking at from the drone without movement. And Tlalamba thankfully just flicked her tail up as we went over. And so we could see that the hotspot was very obviously a cat. But if she'd kept curled up and not moved at all, it would have been nigh on impossible to tell what she was. But in the end, it worked very nicely. So we'll be back out again tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning, doing our best to find some kitty cats or hyenas in the darkness of the pre-dawn. I would so love to watch or find a pack of wild dogs would be great, but also a pride of lions with that thermal. And it would be fantastic to see them slinking through on the hunt. It'd be amazing to watch a hunt as well from the top. If you could see the prey being snuck up upon, and you could watch those lions fanning out to ambush it from above, that would just be spectacular. Maybe we'll get lucky with that. Right, everybody, he who found most of the animals today is now going to take you to the end of the drive. I'll see you in the morning.
Well, James, thank you very much, but have a look, we're still sitting with this elephant, still feeding very, very happily close to us. What a great way to end off an amazing, amazing day. Elephants, lions, leopards. I'm gonna quickly try get him going across the road. Give him a second, Dave, sorry. Let's just go and move up ahead here. Get him crossing the road in front of us. You all know how much I love elephant, and even at night like this, look, you do have to be careful. But this elephant seems very relaxed and very happy and content with us. So we can get a few more nice views of him. Very cold little breeze at the moment, not as windy as it was earlier. Those lions did move down towards Gallagher Pan, possibly stop for a drink, not too sure, but we will definitely try and find them in the morning again and see if they were lucky with hunting anything tonight. But what a beautiful big bull elephant to finish off a great day of sightings and animals. I hope all of you have enjoyed it. It's really been wonderful as always to drive you around and find Africa's finest animals. It's been really, really great. Thank you very much to Big Bad James, Steph Grills, who was on walk, of course, the cameraman that joined them. Look at that power. Wow, breaking, trying to get, see, using the tusk and the trunk, breaking the branches, trying to get to that bark. What a great way to end off the show. Louise in final control, thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for all your questions and comments today. It's always wonderful hearing from you. Hope you've enjoyed it. So from myself and from David on camera and from this beautiful elephant, goodbye and good night. We'll see you all tomorrow.